Come on, put your hands together. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, make some noise.
Thank you for tuning in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community. And you're listening to Give Him Glory Radio Show.
And we're your hosts, Camille
and Jordan Harrington,
where we're going to give ordinary people an extraordinary platform to connect with our community, all while giving God the glory.
We're back with Miss Selena Graham and Miss Jean Holmes talking about music through generations. Now, Miss Graham, tell me about how y'all used to do y'all anniversaries back in the day. I know that's like a big thing with choirs.
I was going to say something about when we used to sing with the a cappella. We had the anniversaries and all of that. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that like back then is when you had the outfits. And, you know, every anniversary you had to have an outfit. And we would go to other anniversaries and we would go to 3 or 4, sometimes 2 to 3 churches a Sunday get to every anniversary.
Sunday.
We would leave our church, run home, get something to eat, and then get on the road because we had Mr. Wesley Reed and his son James sings with us now. And he would say, y'all come on, let's go. And we all get in the cars. We didn't have a van, church van. So we get in the cars and we would go to at least 2 to 3 anniversaries. But when ours came, we would have, when our anniversary came, we would have, it would be standing room only. Because sometimes we'd have up to, what about 80 or 90 groups?
Yes,
sometimes. We have a book. We had a book where we saw the list of the people, and they would come because we had 2 programs, 2:30, 7:30.
Oh, yes.
And so we'd have a little break in there on the anniversary, and then they would come in. But every year we would have an outfit, and we started out from Miss Carabelle Bowens making us little dresses till, you know, then we started getting, you know, a little fancier and fancier. And we go to these other churches and they would have wigs and sparkly dresses and all that. But that was actually cultural for us, and just to try to get the, you know, the generations now to understand what we had to go through to get to where we are now. And, you know, trying to groom them so that they can continue on, you know, what we've been doing all this time.
Yeah, nowadays you'd be lucky to get 8 or 9 songs heard.
Right. But
that's between 3 groups.
It was a lot, and an offering song. We would be tired, but you know,
Mr. Wesley pushed us, and it's because of his pushing and insisting that we continue to sing the way that we sang. Because when we would go out, we would always sing a cappella. We didn't have at that time when we were doing the anniversaries and the programs, we would do a cappella. But he pushed us to that point, and that's how we became known as what we are now, as Hood Memorial's Gospel Choir. And we often see some of the people that we used to go to their programs and whatnot, and they have broken up. And fallen by the wayside. They no longer have the programs. We would have musicals and spring musicals along with the anniversaries and the Christmas concerts. But all of that has faded out somewhat. But by the grace of God, Hood Memorial Gospel Choir is still going forth.
Amen. Aren't the Gospel Choir approaching how many years?
I think this is 56.
Yeah, it'll be 56.
So that's like the official year. Because did that start when you guys came, or was that already kind of going?
It was a youth choir when we had our first anniversary, because that was Miss Carabelle Bowens. She was over it from the beginning, the youth choir. But Oscar came in and he started the gospel choir. Okay. So I started with the youth choir. It was, I think maybe it was probably everybody was around 11, 12, 13 years old. Then we had some older members, but they were moving on because they were older. They were going to college. they were getting married. It was Ramona Bowens, Peggy Mann, and some of those people that
Mark
were there.
Adams.
And so they were moving on, but we were still there, so we had to go on. That's when Oscar picked it up and started recruiting members so that we could continue to have a choir, because the ones that were in the youth choir before, they had gone on.
Okay, because I've been wondering about that, because the we've got the youth choir currently, nowadays, and it's been around 13 years. When would you say the previous youth choir kind of like fell off?
I'm thinking it because what happened with us when I started, it was when like the young ladies started going to college and getting married. They were at that age where they were growing up and they were leaving and moving away. And so here we were, 12 or 13 years old, and that's when Oscar said, we gonna start, because some of them had stopped singing because Peggy was gone, Ramona was gone, and they were the ones who led the songs. None of us were leading songs when we were 11, 12 years old, because they probably didn't want to hear us sing. But they were leading the songs. But when they decided to leave, it was kind of like it was doing the best we could, or just singing hymns or whatever. And then that's when Miss Edna Armstrong and some of the other senior members of the church told Oscar, we need to get a youth choir. But it was actually, that's when the gospel choir came about.
So with the song selection, how did that work? Because was it radios back in the day? Yes, nowadays you can just listen. You hear the music on your devices or the radio.
It was just radio.
It was radio, and people bought albums. Also, gospel albums that James Cleveland and all of them were making albums, and the quartets. And basically, if you would listen to the quartet music, it is so much easier to sing that a cappella than it is to sing the choir music that was out during the day. Now Oscar would go, and we would go to other people's anniversaries. Now that's where we learned a lot of our songs, because he would take the cassette recorder, and if we heard a song, we look at Oscar, get that one, and so he would record it, and we would bring that recorder out, that cassette out, and we would learn off the recorder. Now some people would buy albums, and then he would tape that, so we bring that to choir practice, we learn that song. And so that's kind of like how we, learned the music that we had back there in that day.
Also, Oscar's father, Horace Reed, bought Oscar, I don't know, I'm aging myself right here. It was called a reel-to-reel. And he would record on that, and we would play that back. The same thing as the cassette.
Wow.
And I thought he found it one time. I don't know where it is, but that would also help us out. And just like now, we would make it our own, because it would be similar to what the original song was.
Yeah.
But then somebody like Oscar, especially Oscar and Charles, would put a different spin on the bass part or the tenor part, and it would change the whole song completely. Pretty much like what Camille and Jordan do.
Now, Miss Camille, did you come up with the term hooderize?
Yes, I came up with hooderize because I feel like that being the director over the Hood Moral Choir, gospel choir, that if I wanted to hear it just like people sung it, I'd just go hear them. But so I tried to put a spin on everything that we did and to hooderize it to make it sound different from what the original version of it was. I didn't want to do a straight copycat of it. I didn't know about their story, about how they would put a twist on it. I just did that on my own to say, oh yeah, we need to do this. And when you're directing and hearing it, you can hear, y'all stop, wait a minute, we gonna turn that to swivel down and then put that note in right there. And altos, you go over here, you say, well, and then the soprano, and go in there, and then we'll put that back together. It's the same song, but you kind of put your own
spin on it.
Yeah.
Well, we would do that, and because sometimes on the cassettes it was a little gravelly and you could hardly hear. So sometimes the words weren't
Okay, people, that's what
exactly-
happens when you bring sneak recorders in and try to record.
And you're in a church full
In
of
your
people,
pocket.
and you're trying to record it. Sometimes our words weren't exactly the same words, but we made them make sense, so that we would, kind of put a spin on that too. But it was like that because we had sopranos, but then the thing about it was if somebody's singing first soprano and I felt like it, and Camille is always telling me when we're trying to teach the song, some of the songs we learned before, she'll say, Selena, you have to sing, everybody needs to sing that same soprano line. I'm always higher because that's the way we did it. We had the two parts in the two-part soprano because Vanessa Bowens, Anita Davis, and Cheryl Mann, myself, I can't remember who else sang soprano, but we would, that's the way we did. It was two-part harmony in the soprano section.
Okay.
So that's why somebody needs to sing that high part, and that was always the part that I did. So that's why sometimes Camille's always on me for that,
Selena, sing with everybody.
They be sounding good.
Now I see some of the techniques that were used in the former choir has overflowed into the present day choir that you're on right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. That was a great, wonderful timeline you're going through. So is it any different now that the way that you sing now is different from the way that you sung back then with the newer songs coming out, with the high songs, with the difficult technique songs?
I know it is.
So would you prefer the old songs that was like melodic and things like this, or these songs like that they have right now?
It just takes some getting used to.
Yeah. Let me just say this.
Okay.
I know, because I know this. I know the hood sound. You know what I'm saying? And then I just stretch to people's limits.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
you do.
exactly what I was.
Yes, you do.
Another form of when we first started, when we were a cappella and we went to music. This is a whole nother leap in that area because sometimes I was like, Jordan, those people have 600 people in the choir. We have 12. So, I don't know why he expects us, but he does not limit us to anything. And that was, like some of the times when we used to sing certain songs, it would be just like, we just can't get that one. We just can't, we don't have enough people. We don't have those parts. We don't have this. But now it's to that point where, and Willie didn't have it. There was no limitations on what we would sing, but he didn't go stretch us that far. He stayed within the realm of choir music, for what it was back then. But Jordan, he continues on to take us higher highs and
higher than
higher. And but I think I'm kind of used to it now, and being at the age that I am now, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, am I going to continue with this? But there is no reason for me not to, because there's nothing keeping me. I still have a voice, or somewhat of a voice, and I try to continue on with it. But until that time comes, because that's the way our senior choir was. When we had the senior choir, they always sang with a piano or an organ, but those members did not stop singing until they could not sing anymore. And I felt like, well, if they could do that then, we can do this now.
That's as Reverend Mann and Mr. Wesley came from the senior choir, and they started singing with the gospel choir. And it was something Jordan just said a few minutes ago about and he used the term the hood sound. And that's what we were known at. It was just something different about the way that we sang a song. You could have a whole different choir sing the same song that we sung, but it just sounded different.
Yeah.
And I just attribute that to God's anointing on us. And there was a time we had to get to that place, because before, when we started out and we realized we could harmonize the way that we were doing, we had the mindset that it was us. And after we would do a song and get outside, get back home to rehearse for the next occasion, we sounded good. This was our conversation. That sounded good, so let's do this and let's do this. And I thank God that it came to that point where we matured in what we were doing and understood that it wasn't us, that God was using us for His glory, not for our own. And I think that's what has carried us, because we have lost, not in the sense of passing away, but so many have dropped out because they felt like they couldn't or didn't want to sing with the choir anymore.
Yep.
But there's still that God is still using Hood Memorial Gospel Choir to be a blessing to the community, to our church, and to wherever, because even with the newness, we are reaching out to more than what we did back then.
Yeah.
They would see us, okay, let's hear from Hood, and you could hear as we were walking up or getting ready to sing, come on, Hood, and sing, because they knew our sound.
Yep.
And it's still that way today, even with the new generation, Jordan making us have to stand on our tiptoes to reach notes. And we were known for singing the song and ending it like that. There were no long songs. But Jordan just extended the songs out. But I thank God for him continuing to bless us as and I'm just going to say it, me being the oldest member in the choir, he has sustained us to continue to be able to sing what this younger generation is singing. And I just thank God for that.
And he also, that's where we are more or less training the youth that are coming up, or the young adults that are singing now in our Youth of Christ. Well, they're Youth of Christ, but they're really the young adults of Christ now. But when they started out, it was like Camille was there to guide them to more or less where they are now. And it was just like with us, we used to fill that choir stand up almost to capacity, but now we're just on one side. So, but with the youth choir that we have now, everybody says they're just continuing on with what you all were doing, and we are passing it along to let them know it does not matter where you are or what you're doing. You still represent Hood Memorial, and we lead them and guide them. And even from our gospel choir, we've had pastors to generate from that choir to go on and get their own churches and and things like that. And that has come from following, what we need to do and being a ministry to our church and to our community.
Quick question. What do you guys think you got your voices from? Did y'all mama sing? Did y'all daddy sing?
Daddy. Well, they both. Okay. Because mama was in this chancellor choir, senior choir, and daddy could sing. He was also able to play different instruments.
Ooh.
I know he could play the piano. And for some reason, I want to think, I'm not going to say that because I'm not sure, but I know he did play the piano. So
That's
I think it came from both sides. Yeah. And I want to say this before I go off. I probably won't be saying too much more on this segment. But I wanted to mention that our now director, Camille, and we talked about Jordan and his techniques and everything. Camille is a drill sergeant for God, because she will not let us get out of her thing is excellence.
Yes.
Anything that we do for God, and that's coming back on when we finally came to realize who we were singing for and who we were glorifying. It wasn't us, it was God. And she just keeps injecting that into our rehearsals, into our singing. And please believe, if we get off track, or if that note is not right, and if she'll do it to her own mother, she'll do it to anybody in that choir, because she will stop you in the middle of a song and said, okay, I remember this one that it was the tenor.
Storytelling.
It was in the tenor section, and we didn't come in on the right note. And from the beginning of the song, she stopped, turned around to the Jordan, and said, "Give the tenors their part."
In the midst of
And this was doing church service. Congregation in front of God and everybody. But I do want to say that we appreciate Camille and her strong belief in the way that she takes what she does seriously. Not saying that we don't, but she is just a good leader, and she has taught her children, and that's why she and Jordan bump heads so much, because of their expectations. And when we say we can't, as Selena pointed out a while back, when we say we can't or we feel like we can't do the song, Jordan will say, "It's simple, just do this," and we will stay there until we get that part, and then we'll see. And then I know everybody does it. Pray, God help us to remember this, to retain it, because if not, we're going to be embarrassed in front of whoever it is that we're singing. But we just, I just wanted to put that in there, that Camille is along with her children and her husband, she's a strong force there.
Amen.
With the gospel choir.
Jordan was asking about where we got our voices from, but our choir now, at this point, it is basically family, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 members. So whenever we go somewhere, if you just look around or just look at who's singing, it's like, this is just family. And that's kind of like what has sustained us and kept us going, so that we can continue to have the sound that we have, because it is coming from within, and it's all the bloodline that we have.
Right.
We have cousins that are in the choir, and that's just kind of like the way it goes right now. And some of the songs that that I've heard on the radio show previously are songs that were written by Jordan and written by Camille. And so it's just kind of like the generations have passed it on, because I do know my cousin was telling me about, we had there's an uncle, I think he's also a musician, so he was a musician.
Wow.
So, and he traveled, but I'm not exactly sure what his name was. But but
I don't know.
But with Gene saying that Daddy played the piano, I didn't even know that. So
Wow.
so
Learn something new every day.
yeah, that's it. So that's kind of like the way it's gone, generation to generation, and hopefully and prayerfully that the generation that we have now, they will continue on to do what we have done as far as Hood Memorial is concerned.
So
Amen.
the choir has done their first live recording back in 2016. Was that y'all's first time recording?
It certainly was, and it was a frightening experience for me, because never stood. Well, I don't like being in the mic.
What? I would have never known.
Yeah, right, Jordan. I just don't like that, because of the simple reason, and that some of that came from Russell Harrington. When you hit the wrong note, he and Camille are so much alike, and it's just crazy. But yet, when you mess up, and then also him calling you out when you mess up on the mic, I just didn't really. Well, I don't like recording. I'll just put it right there.
Well, it wasn't my first time. I sang with True Worship, Russell Harrington and True Worship.
Well, I sang with them too.
So we did do a recording in the studio, and but that was more of a group type, not a choir. And with Jordan and Camille, when we had that first CD, that was the first time that we had ever recorded CD. Now, we have been recorded before. Actually, we had a company come from Germany at one time. It was back when we were I was probably in high school or junior high. The choir was we were on a TV show in Germany, and they came and recorded the whole church service along with the choir, and they gave us so many compliments and comments on how we sang, because even then we didn't have music, but they really enjoyed it. So, but unfortunately, we did not get to see the service because we didn't get to, they didn't return the recording to us so that we
wow.
could see it.
Oh, wow.
But yes, recording is quite a tedious task, especially when you have to do the stacking of the, parts and stacking the sections and all that. But then after a while, you get used to it. But I would rather do live. I would rather do live recording.
Yeah, I came to that conclusion
studio.
Last week, working on this third album for 17 years now. I'm like, we could just did a live recording and this could have been done.
Yeah.
So moving on,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Right.
I got too many little ideas. I keep trying to remix stuff. Live recording would
And
have
taking out
been
when
that.
when you're told move back from the mic or move closer to the mic, and then you have to we have to do that over. Okay, we're gonna stack this 3 more times. No,
Yeah, too much. Now, are you saying that because you don't think you can sing? Because I think y'all could do leads for real, for real.
I've
Let's-
tried that.
I don't
and
have that much
didn't
confidence.
like it.
Lorraine, you know what I'm talking about. Remember True Worship?
Now I don't like leading songs. Everybody knows I say I'm a background singer. I don't care anything about leading because it just takes a lot to do that.
It does.
But when you have people that have the voice like Jordan
Yes.
has,
And
Camille,
Camille.
they have lead voices. We have a lot of people in our choir that have the lead voices, but I'm not one of them.
Selena has led songs
I read some, I
before,
didn't mean the same.
but yeah, and I think Camille scared me so bad with when I did lead a song,
gosh.
and she stopped. This was at the Christmas concert, and she stopped just as I started to sing,
Was that?
and I was so embarrassed. Well, no, I wasn't really
Was that
embarrassed. I was
2015?
shocked, but yeah.
That was almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
Well,
so-
it still happened.
To my
It still happened.
defense, because like she said earlier, I try to work in excellence. We were in
Yes.
the middle of a concert,
I was doing my
and
best.
because people, if you start on the wrong note, you're going to end on the wrong note. And it was a beautiful song. She had done it great in rehearsal. And when I heard her start wrong, then the rest of the song was going to be off. So I just rather
Well.
like Barney Fife and nip it in the bud. And if I embarrassed you in any way, I do apologize. But I wanted to bring out the excellence of your voice and then your anointing that's on you. And I
Such
wanted
as
to
it
be
was.
heard and in the correct note rather than being heard in the wrong note.
Well, like I said, I wasn't embarrassed or anything like that. I was more shocked that she would do her mother that way in front of Christmas concert. Remember, I said it was a Christmas concert,
It was a Christmas concert.
church pack. All right,
Yes, respect. That's all right.
yes it
This
is.
is
Yes,
how we
it is.
finished. That's
That's
right.
it. That's it.
That's
It
right.
ended up well.
They know that makes me so upset when they say they don't have lead voices because I love their little voices. These people can sing.
I sing in the back.
Nervous.
Give me my part and tell me what I'm supposed to sing.
This was an amazing and wonderful conversation that
Amazing.
we had today. It is so insightful. I've learned a lot
So
about
much.
the family, and I've learned a lot about the history of the music of Hope Memorial Church and just music in general from these two lovely ladies.
Yes.
Our guest today was Miss Jean Holmes and Miss Selena Graham. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Continue to tune in every Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m. Please listen live 24/7 by going to WDRBmedia.com and click on the Listen Live tab. Also, if you want to be a guest on our show or want free advertising, you can reach us at
HookMemorial215@gmail.com. HookMemorial215@gmail.com.
You've been listening to Give 'em Glory Radio Show, and we're your hosts, Camille,
And Jordan,
on WDRB Media,
the voice of the community.
for double the information and inspiration. Until next week, continue to be blessed.
We have come to magnify.